press back.
Not one thing has gotten to crooked Joe Biden.
In Nevada Sunday, Trump lashed out at President Biden's immigration policies.
You're also much safer when President Trump was in the White House. Drugs, criminals, gang members, and terrorists are pouring into our country at record levels. We've never seen anything like it. They're taking over our cities.
The former president cited troubling situations involving illegal immigrants.
Just days ago, we learned that an illegal alien wanted for murder in Mexico secretly violated our border and was discovered in Las Vegas. They believe he's killed 2 people.
The focus on immigration comes as the Biden administration works with Congress to negotiate a border security deal. Shifting to a tougher border policy could gain Biden more moderate and independent votes in the general election. Trump told a record-breaking crowd in Reno that there are hints of a hidden threat infiltrating America.
You know, they're coming in 27,000 Chinese men, aged 20 to 24, 25, no women, no older people, no younger people, about 20 to 24, 25 years old, the perfect age for an army.
Trump emphasized his intention to clamp down on illegal immigration despite facing criticism for some of his remarks, like telling a New Hampshire audience that illegal immigration was, quote, poisoning the blood of our country. The Biden campaign said in a statement that Trump was sounding like Adolf Hitler, who advocated for pure German bloodlines. But Trump's advocates say the phrase shouldn't be taken literally. Since 2016, Trump has been reciting a song about a woman who rescues a poisonous snake.
Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, cried the vicious snake.
The snake bites the woman after she rescues him. Trump presents the poem as a cautionary tale about harboring illegal immigrants. He told the Reno audience, it's a metaphor of what's going on at your border, and it's a metaphor as to what will happen in Reno, in Nevada, and all over the place. Arlene Richards, NTD.
28-year-old with a valid border crossing card on December 13. A K-9 unit detected something suspicious around 10:30 a.m. and officers began inspecting the packages. The truck driver was turned over to Homeland Security investigations, and the incident comes after officers seized over 14,000 pounds of narcotics at California's land ports of entry throughout November. Additionally, the U.S. Coast Guard intercepted over $239 million worth of cocaine in San Diego in 6 separate smuggling events this month. Stephanie Sakal, NTD News.
Ever a lease into the day, other Republican candidate nearly move up. She's racking to New Hampshire and closing in on frontrunner Donald Trump. Is it enough to make her a contender in the general election? Arlene Richards compares the numbers. Is President Biden's impeachment inquiry justified, and will the timing help or hurt the probe? The Clinton impeachment manager shares with us his assessment. A solemn event at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. President Biden, thank you for joining us tonight. In a startling revelation, a hospital director in the Gaza Strip says nurses and doctors are also members of the Hamas terrorist group. His confession comes as the U.S. is teaming up with other nations to stop Yemen's Houthis in the Red Sea. NTD's Jason Perry has the war update.
The truth comes out.
Israel Defense Forces continue to keep the pressure on Hamas terrorists in the Gaza Strip. During one of the IDF's recent missions, they found this explosive device, which Israeli troops said was facing this door and in range of a clinic. On Tuesday, Israeli forces reported that since the beginning of the war, they have now found approximately 1,500 tunnel entrances belonging to Hamas. The IDF says most of the tunnels they found have been located under schools, hospitals, and mosques, and most recently under United Nations facilities. However, the IDF is not only finding tunnels and weapons, but also suspected terrorists. This man was recently released by Israeli forces, and he explained the moment he was detained.
They were using the loudspeakers asking the wounded and the displaced in El Mamadani Hospital to evacuate. My disabled brother was also taken away, and I do not know what happened to him.
Meanwhile, other Palestinian detainees are providing valuable information to the IDF, including this hospital director. He said he
enforcement. If you're breaking this country's laws, they want to deport you, at least if you're an illegal alien. And Holman was honored during the Obama administration for his role leading ICE's enforcement and removal operations, which was ERO, which arrests and removes illegal immigrants. Under Obama, they were doing it still. And it notes that a Washington Post article at the time said Holman deports people, and he's really good at it. Remember, it wasn't controversial at the time because the media loved Obama, right? That being said, right? Briefly, when Donald Trump talked about, I am your retribution, what was he talking about? He was saying that, look, they're going at, Trump is saying they're going after me. They're going after me with everything they have. And he says, but they really want to go after you. And I'm standing between them and you, right? And so that's why he's targeting him politically. He said that's why they're going after him with rolling indictments. That was Trump's narrative. And also when it comes to J6, when it comes to the demonizing of Trump supporters, when it comes to Biden shouting about the MAGA extremists, when it comes to him saying it's a threat to the soul of the nation, when it comes to the military having evangelical Christians and Catholics, notably, listed as like terrorists, the American people are being targeted. And when Trump says, I am your retribution, he means that there's going to be justice on the other side for people who have been abusing Americans based on their political views, based on their moral values, and based on their religion. That's what he's suggesting. Agree with it or disagree with it, that's really the context of what he was saying.
I'll be home for Christmas. You can play.
That's right. We're closed for that when he comes in, we close the book, dictate the and then that to make going to be Caesar. And that's how they're framing it. Taking that quote context in the look.
Where's the fact
Trump
checkers on that?
That he would be the erection. He did say that, and this is also being used to push this entire narrative. They're doing this again to make this entire narrative. And, that said, on the border does have mass deportation, and it looks also like there's a legal avenue to do this. Fox News said this. They say former acting Immigrant and Custom Enforcement Director Tom Holman to unfreeze and see. Look, the ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, they've had their hands tied behind their back. The existence of that government agency is to deport people who illegally enter the United States. That's the reason that entire branch of our government exists. The reason ICE exists is to deport illegal immigrants. They haven't been able to do their jobs. The government, the federal government, is not playing its basic role. It's not fulfilling its basic duty of securing our borders. And they're making it sound like a scandal that Trump wants to allow an existing federal agency to do its job. That's where that narrative is coming from. The former ICE director, he says he wants to
where do these people get these ideas?
And help launch a massive and historic deportation program if President Donald Trump returns to the White House in 2025. And
Lydia Harvey traveled from Texas to attend the conference. She'll be voting for the first time in the 2024 election.
I will be voting for
President Trump. He already did a wonderful job the first time running the country. He kept all of his promises.
Elsa Personette says she grew up in a very liberal state and felt alone in her views. So she really appreciates the networking and connections she can make at AmFest.
Meeting people from all over the country that are like-minded in the same political views and values as you.
Blaine Hibbert's favorite speaker was Carrie Lake.
She served the United States Senate here in Arizona, and she's going to do a great job. She's a very passionate individual, and she refers to herself as Trump in the dress, so that's pretty cool too.
Jessica Gomez feels that modern culture has demonized traditional values.
When you have conservative values, a lot of people think that it's hateful and that it's trying to be against them and that it's trying to be racist, be homophobic.
Gomez is hoping a Republican wins the presidency, saying college students have suffered economic hardship under President Biden. Conservative commentator Tucker Carlson spoke at the event. He said America sits on the cusp of collapse, with interest on the debt costing more than defense spending.
And when robotics are eliminating entire classes of jobs for working class people, why would you admit illegally tens of millions of people from the poorest countries in the world with no skills?
The conservative commentator said the current administration and enablers in the Republican Party are trying to destroy the United States.
The people doing evil do not win in the end. They are destroyed by the evil that flows through them.
Presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy also spoke at the event, laying out his plan for election integrity.
Single-day voting on Election Day as a national holiday with paper ballots. Government-issued ID to match the voter file.
Political commentator Benny Johnson gave some advice to young men on how to be unshakable.
Find a woman. Fall in love. Get married. Have more children than you can afford. Have insane amounts of kids. There's nothing the world can do to shake you if you do those simple steps.
Turning Point USA is an American nonprofit organization. It was founded in 2012 by Charlie Kirk and Bill Montgomery. It supports conservative politics on high school, college, and university campuses. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
Twice, but she said she didn't know it was illegal since D.C. isn't a state. She got a $500 fine. The election board also fined another 5 people for double voting, a fine of $100 each. Rubio's fine was higher because she was an elected official. The election board says the 6 cases are unrelated.
Beautiful climate change. And a cloud in the sky.
Volcanic eruption poses no threat to life and that it won't affect air travel as international flight corridors remain open.
That's after lava and smoke poured into the Iceland sky last night. Between 3,000 to 7,000 cubic feet of lava emerged per second. That's several times more than in previous eruptions in the area.
Local police raised their alert level as the result of the eruption. The country's civil defense warned the public not to approach the area. Iceland was prepared for the eruption. Last month, the government evacuated around 4,000 people.
A volcanic eruption in Iceland in 2010 caused the largest closure of European airspace since World War II. Many flights connecting Europe and the U.S. fly over Iceland. This resulted in financial losses of around $2 billion.
Russian President Vladimir Putin today said Moscow will continue its war in Ukraine and that attempts by the West to inflict a strategic defeat on Russia had crumbled.
At the same time, Putin said that Russia would be prepared to talk to Ukraine, the U.S., and Europe about the future of Ukraine if they wanted to, but he added that Moscow would defend its national interests.
At the same conference, Russia's defense minister said today that Russia plans to increase the number of soldiers to 1.5 million and that Russia increased tank production by over 5 times since the start of the war. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says new sanctions by the EU will help reduce Russia's economic foundation for the war.
The new sanctions focus on import ban on Russian origin diamonds and additional imports and export bans. It's the 12th set of sanctions introduced by the bloc.
This comes as Ukraine's army chief insists the situation on the front line of the war has not reached a stalemate.
Last month, the army chief did describe it as a stalemate. However, he changed his stance after Zelensky denied the war had reached that point.
Western nations accuse Iran of violating multiple points of a nuclear deal. That's by allegedly developing and testing ballistic missiles, transferring hundreds of drones to Russia, and enriching uranium to an unprecedented 60% level.
Britain, France, and Germany say those points violate the 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. The UN political chief yesterday urged Iran to reverse course. Iran and its allies
Nuclear weapons
charges.
aren't here.
After reaching a military agreement with Finland yesterday, the United States is now expanding cooperation with Denmark.
The Danish Prime Minister today announced that his country reached a defense deal with the U.S. American soldiers and equipment can be permanently stationed on Danish soil.
The 10-year agreement